Before I begin, two things. One, yes, I haven't gone in an extremely long time. I believe the last video I did was like early August, late July. I think that's when it was. Extremely sorry because it's like almost Christmas time. I'm posting this video. It's the day after my birthday. I'm just whoosh downhill. And then I was like, like for the longest time I've been wanting to make a video, but I just never really. Ooh, let's not hit the laptop. Never really had the drive to actually do it. So I thought, you know what? Today, the 22nd of December, I'm sitting here on Christmas break. Well, my last Christmas break. Doing nothing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to post a video. A video I've been meaning to post for the longest time. And here it is. So, I'm actually doing it. So, I'm pretty excited. And the other thing was, this is not, in case you were reading the title and you started to assume, no. Where's the camera? Right there. No. It's not a diatribe against anyone who eats meat, because I'll tell you, I am the number one person. If you put chicken or a burger or ribs or pork chops, dear God, I have not had pork chops in way too long, in front of me, I will definitely tear them up. I can't do anything about that. But, it's kind of the world we live in. We're not perfect, so don't assume I'm trying to say that this is the way to live. You can't do anything other than this. That this is the only way to survive on the planet. Life doesn't work that way. So, on that like little side note on that, at the end of the video, I really want to know what you guys think about this. Leave your comments on if you agree or disagree and why. And it's one thing to have an opinion on something, but it's another thing, a totally different thing, if you can back up that opinion with why you think that way, with why, hey, I didn't really enjoy that because this, or I really like that because whatever. I really enjoy that because I like candy. That works. At least you have something. It might not be solid, but at least you have something. Um, so yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna start out with. And this is basically my whole mental thought process on any living thing. Now don't judge me yet. I mean, as I said, human. I have faults. So many faults. But I believe that every life, if it, like every living thing, no matter how insignificant it may seem at the time, for example, everyone, I always hear people talking, especially since the Zika virus became big, say mosquitoes, they're not important to environments. We should just get rid of all of them. They really are. I mean, they might not be important to you, but when you think about all the animals that they feed, all the animals that they feed on, and the fact that yes, they do carry diseases, but those diseases ultimately can push certain animals along the evolutionary trail. They're really important. It's just they aren't the important that we'd like. They aren't the cute. Well, there's a few categories: cute, hardworking, or what was it? Was cute, hardworking. I had another one, but I'll probably remember it, and it's going to be really random because I'm just going to say it, and I apologize. So it was. They don't fit that category. They negatively harm us. Um, they have potentially short lifespans. Um, and they don't really look that cuddly. Not many people want a mosquito stuffed animal to give to their child. Not really a common thing in human society. But you get animals that are basically in that little bubble where we don't see how they affect us, so we assume that they're unimportant. No, we aren't the only things on the planet. We might be the most widespread. Well, I don't think we're the most widespread. The largest, most widespread animal. Mammal. Mammal, at least. I can give mammal. The largest and most widespread mammal on the planet. But that doesn't mean we have to be involved in every little bit of the environment, of every little ecosystem. Like, I mean, there are little micro ecosystems that we couldn't be involved in because they're so small. Like, the has anyone ever gone out like into a forest or even in your backyard where you just like see a log or an old like plank of wood and you just rolled it over and there's a whole bunch of life underneath it? Like I did that one time in our backyard and there was a colony of ants and a centipede and a scorpion and a spider and a millipede, and they were all just like living in this one little area and a whole bunch of pill bugs and snails. It was a little environment. I couldn't be part of it. I mean, no matter how much I wanted to control the ant population in here and raise the millipede population, um, and as much as I would love to like completely get rid of the centipedes because that's I love all animals, like they're all important, but there are some animals that I'll love them from a distance. And on that list, centipedes, scorpions, and spiders, those are the only three. The only three I've come in contact with in my life. I'll leave it there. Yeah. Um, but I mean, I couldn't, even if I wanted to, I could not be a part of that ecosystem. I can't put my hand in everything and try to affect it. Or aquatic ecosystems. There's a creek across the street from my yard, which I did like I think one or two videos over, where I was down there and like shooting random things. And honestly, it was kind of destroyed because you. I don't know if you. Not everyone knows it, but here in America and and from what I know in Oklahoma, there is this like lawn spray stuff people put out in about um, normally they'll put it out in spring and fall. And what it does is, well, one, it smells really bad and I can't stand it, but it basically sprays your grass and turns it green, and and then after it turns it green, I think it like kills weeds. So like many people buy that to make their lawn look prettier and last kind of longer, but not really, because I noticed that when people who use that, their grass dies faster than people who just have natural growing grass. So, pin in that. Um, but it was, but the creek across the street from my yard was actually killed by that stuff because my dad noticed a group of people like that were like going around the neighborhood spraying houses with the like spraying yards with stuff for people who ordered it, were down there and they had this big tank, and he had no idea what it was, so he didn't think much about it. And I went down there once and I could smell it, and the water was a bluish green color, and a whole bunch of the crawfish had died and tadpoles. So I was like, hey, a whole bunch of stuff has died and it smells bad. So we found out that they actually just dumped a whole bunch of the stuff down there. So that whole ecosystem is kind of shaky now because of that. And I mean, that's unintentionally putting, well, intentionally putting their hand in it, but with potentially long lasting effects. Because that affected the crawfish, tadpole, and like evidently frog, and insect populations. So, and also whatever aquatic plants are in there. And because there's not a real inflow, like an intake for the creek down there, it's sort of like a it's sort of like a runoff thing, but I don't know how it gets so much water when it's not raining, when water's so flowing. Don't know how that works. I call it witchcraft. But it's sort of like a runoff creek that's been more or less man-made, and I mean, there's not really any place to put this stuff back. It's once it's there, it's there. You can't, and it just flows out into this big lake that everyone kind of goes to. Like ultimately, after I think 2 or 5 or 6. No, I say 2, and I said 5. Sorry. Oh, about like 5 or 6 miles, it gets down to this lake. Who knows what happens when it gets there? So, I mean, ultimately, oh, I'm sorry, I jumped like to 3, 4, or 5, like what, however many items. I'm stuck on 5 apparently. So my nose itches and it hurts. So you have this idea of like you can't put your hand in everything to change it because it was already set in such a perfect motion with 65 million years of perfection put into every single thing. And once you start to stick your hand in it to change some stuff, it's it's like pulling from the bottom of the stack. Well, I imagine nature as a giant Jenga game. Everything, well, I imagine each ecosystem as a giant Jenga game, except the difference is the parts are different sizes. And now we may kind of think that, oh well, the smaller parts you can pull those out first. No, the smaller parts hold up some of the bigger parts. If you really look at it, you can have one big part right here, and you think, okay, that's the most important thing. You can't get rid of that. But you have a whole bunch of small things on top of it. So you pull one, and then you see a medium size, and you're like, that kind of eats my crops. I can get rid of that. You pull that, and then you see this little big thing above it, and you're like, oh, that won't be affected by what I pulled here. And then after a moment, it starts to tilt, and then it tilts even more, and then it falls over, and you've collapsed this whole ecosystem. This beautiful thing that took millions of years to set up, took so like thousands of years for these trees to grow, took hundreds of years for these animals to even find the place, and took decades for them to set up, like generations to live there. Destroyed in a matter of 2 years. That's what's sad about this. And I mean, this is not a diatribe to people who need to do this. Well, I take that back. Where basically their only source of livelihood is logging or coal mining, where they have to get into the environment. And that's the sad part. I I don't know how to put this, but there's so much at stake with what you do. You have to be able to realize that there's a give and take to everything. I mean, you can only take so much before it starts to cave in. And in some areas, we can't give back to save it. Like, I mean, you've got some of the most amazing animals in the world. I mean, okay, first things first. When this is one question I hate being asked because it's so, I think it's rude. In my opinion, I think this is probably the rudest question anyone can ask me that has to do with nature. When someone says, what do you think is the smartest animal? Well, my answer, well, I mean, like, unfiltered answer is anything that isn't something, anything that doesn't ask what the smartest is. That's the smartest animal in nature. Because I mean, that's annoying. But logically, logical answer is every animal's ingenious. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Ask a goldfish to take a AP math test to see just how much it knows? Okay. Why would it need to know how to do AP math? Doesn't make it smart, just means it knows what AP math is. And even at that, could have just guessed. Why does it make it smart? So my idea is, or my thought process is, all animals are extremely intelligent because they've lived this long on this planet. I mean, you don't get dumb animals that survive that long. I mean, let's see. What's an animal? The famous dodo. Yes, well, I mean, extinct, but still. Dodos were classified as dumb. They were called like the dumb bird, because they had no fear of people. Well, why would they have fear of people? Where they lived, they didn't have any predators, they didn't have any reason, they had nothing to fear. So, something shows up, they wouldn't know what fear is. They have no reason to know what it is. So, how can you really say it's dumb if it doesn't know something? I think the only dumb humans humans are the only animal that could potentially be done. And don't start your little comment that I can see somebody typing up. Quit that. Listen, hear me out. Humans are the I say that because humans are the only animals that will not listen to something if they don't like it. And that's really funny to me because we're also the only animals that are really concerned about who's smarter than us. I mean, if you look at any, what is it, movie or book or whatever it is that has to do with aliens, it's about us taking them out, not about us learning from them, us thinking about, hey, what do they know? What can we learn from you? Or what can we teach you that, and like trade off skills that maybe could help both of us in the long run? I mean, we don't think about that. If anything that has to do with like anything like animals, this is what doesn't make sense to me. Planet of the Apes. Now, mind you, I have not seen the whole movie. I'm just gonna put a pin in that. So, Planet of the Apes, you have apes that basically become, they say become sentient, but they practically already are. They know what each other's feeling. They know what they're feeling. They know about other things. And it was a big deal. Well, I mean, obviously it was a big deal. They were kind of killing people. But to be honest, if I was a chimpanzee, and I mean, I had legitimate way to overthrow people, to be honest, I would. And that sounds like a threat against people. It's not because I hate people. It's because, I mean, think about it. This animal has been through nothing but being tested for intelligence or being treated like it's not smart, or its whole species being treated like it's just, oh, They're primitive. They don't know anything. What? There are species of apes that have cures to things that we didn't find out until we watched them. Like what is orangutans? They'll chew up leaves if their muscles get sore. They'll like chew up leaves and spread the paste all over the sore muscle and rest overnight. Then they're good. We didn't find that out until we watched them. How are we calling them primitive? They're the ones who are teaching us things. I mean, you can already say bird brain isn't real. I mean, that's probably my best thing for that. We always say bird brain is sort of saying it's like someone who's dumb or out there. But, I mean, birds are extremely intelligent, and that's another thing. We can't associate brain size with intelligence because, I mean, what can you expect from a small animal? You can expect an animal this big to have a brain larger than ours? That wouldn't be, like, what is it? Evolutionarily successful. You have to have something proportionate to the body. Proportionate, if not like smaller, to the body. Because it's important. You have to keep it safe. And, I mean, birds, they have smaller brains than us, but that doesn't mean anything. Their brains act, I think it was 20 times faster than our brains like to act like to decisions. Okay, so quick comedy moment right now. Those moments when I just like pause, like basically I pause and I fade out. I just realized that like I'm hitting the spacebar button. I realize it's not pausing my laptop. Fail. And I'm legit thinking that I'm like actually like pausing it. Like I mean pausing it because I mean something's happening outside my room and it's loud. So I'm like, oh, okay, pause it and wait for the volume to go down. Wow. I mean, you'd think it'd be as easy as looking at the bottom of the screen and seeing the time still going, but hmm. Moment of silence for that brain fart. Okay. Well, beyond that, I feel like a bird brain right there. So, I mean, like their brains act. I believe it was 20 times faster than human brains, and I mean, they know so much. Like for example, um, in Nutcracker. I really feel like it's Stellars. Stellar's Nutcracker can remember the exact placement under 3 feet of snow of over 1,000 nuts and seeds during the winter. I mean, like to the dot. It doesn't mess up. It doesn't forget where any of the seeds are. It's got this. Um, the New Caledonian crow. I mean, probably the most ingenious bird that we've seen, and it's been documented like with trial and error learning. It'll like say there's a bug in a log, this little like burrow that the bug's like deep into. So it's like, okay, goes, uses beak, can't reach, flies off, snaps off a piece of a twig, stabs in the hole. Okay, you can reach the bug, but you can't pull it out. So it pulls it out, like pulls the twig out. It'll hold it down and use its beak to curve the end of it and make a hook. Use it and pull the bug out. I mean, that's genius. You be able to learn that, hey, if this doesn't work, maybe I'll try this. And then I'll try this. And then maybe this will work. That's practically human thinking. I mean, this bird is going places. And let's go back. Ooh, wow, this chair is really not comfortable. So, and it's that idea that everything is extremely amazing if you look at it in the right light. For example, I saw, this is gonna be the weirdest thing, like true comment you've probably heard today. I've I saw today the most beautiful spider ever. There you go. I mean, there you go. Hands down, that's the weirdest thing I've ever said in my life. Um, but I mean, just go to Google Images and look up peacock spider, and they're gorgeous. Like, I mean, simply beautiful. And then you have animals that do things that are really important that don't get any credit for what they do. For example, the spider. Everyone dislikes spiders. I'm on that list too. As I said in the beginning of the video, I love them from a distance. They can keep their area, they can keep their little corner, you keep your little web, and we're good. I mean, as long as we don't come in visual contact, you aren't within 2 feet of me, I'm fine. We don't have any problems. But once I can see you, I have to kill you. And I take that back. I have to, well, depending on size, I might have to kill you. Quarter or smaller, trap, move outside. Quarter or, well, anything larger than a quarter, I've got to kill it. I have to. That's the only option. I mean, relocation might work, but you're big enough to where I think you've lived long enough. Kind of treading a thin line as I feel a little scared and a little itchy. Um, so it's ingenious how like spiders' webs work. I mean, they have this ability to actually, like, if a bug is flying, the web will actually reach out to catch it. I didn't know that. Like, they lace the web with like a negative. I think it was a negative charge. So a bug flying through the air picks up an electric charge, and it picks up a positive charge. So when it flies close to a web, the web actually reaches out to grab it. It's beyond genius. I mean, that's something we never realized until, like, I think 2 or 3 years ago. That's amazing. And then you have vultures. That's why I picked this photo, because I wanted to see how many of you guys would feel disgusted by the sight of a beautiful, beautiful animal. Vultures, condors, and I believe buzzards, all amazing animals, but so many of them are going extinct because, well, one, people don't realize how important they are to the ecosystem, and two, they're kind of, I don't know how this works, I don't really know why, but they use like some of the organs and like voodoo stuff. I'm like, don't really get how that's, but to each his own. But I mean, vultures, they provide a big, probably the greatest thing for humans. They clean up all the dead things. I mean, thank you, buzzards. Thank you, buzzards, vultures, and condors. In Oklahoma, we just have vultures. Like, there's a pair of turkey vultures that live over at the creek. I've never been able to, like, actually see their nest. And, like, I mean, one time there was a dead crow down there, and I saw them down there, like, picking at the crow, like, plucking feathers off, of course, and, like, eating the body. And then they clean. I mean, if there weren't any of those animals in the world, we would have so many carcasses just around because they're one of the main detritivores. I really think that's the word. Detritivores. That's how you pronounce it, I think. Detrivores. I figured out later. One of the main detrivores of the world. I mean, it's them, worms, and I think flies, well, them, worms, and maggots. Those are the top. I think those are the top three detrivores. So, I mean, and they're the ones that can move around, like the easiest. Um, I mean, oh, I found this out. This was interesting. Like vultures and condors and buzzards, they're closer related to cranes and storks than they are to eagles. And I thought they were closer related like eagles and falcons, and them because they had like hook, the little hook-shaped beak. But no, I found that cool. So as I'm looking down at the timer that I probably should have looked at before, sigh, I noticed I've been going at this for 30 minutes. And, well, first, I'd like to thank anyone who made it this far and was and was actually interested. And if you did actually make this far, can you leave that in your comment? I mean, even if you leave like a little diatribe, like, I hate everything you said, but at least you stayed this long. I feel happy. I feel accomplished. Go, Sean. And, well, could you leave that in comment? And also, this is sort of between me and the people who stayed to the end of the video. Thank you. Like, honestly, I cannot thank you enough for actually watching these videos, because I didn't think anyone was going to watch them. I didn't. I just kind of made these videos for me. I didn't think anyone would potentially be interested in them. Who knows? I mean, the only thing I can say right now is thank you. And I would really like if you would share this video with anyone you know who might be interested in nature and who'd want to hear another side of the story. Put this on Facebook. Maybe. Because there's some crazy people on Facebook. Oh well, I mean, I'm crazy too, why not? Put it on Facebook. I'd love to see like what people have to say. And I mean, like, if this gets shared on Facebook, oh, I'd feel so special. I'd feel so important. Like, I mean, my importance level will go from like here, all the way up here. Like, I mean, I feel special. And you know, when I feel special, JK, I'm not gonna go there. That feels dumb. But I mean, just knowing there are people that are gonna watch this video, people that actually watch this video to this, like, for 32 minutes and 24 seconds, that means a lot to me, because that means you guys actually care enough to watch and, like, hear what I have to say. Because, I mean, these aren't visually entertaining. Like, this is just like a blanket. Like, honestly, this is just a blanket that I draped over my bed to look like a screen. See? Nothing. There's nothing here. But, thank you. And I will have another video. I will. I pinky... there's a camera. I pinky promise. Okay. See ya.